Welcome back to a new episode of Coach's Corner, this time Boys Water Polo Edition. I'm Jake Lancer with Danny Lynch for HWTV, and today we're joined once again by varsity head coach Jack Grover. The Wolverines finished the regular season 18-6, and they take on Oaks Christian in the CIF Open Division playoff quarterfinals this Thursday. Coach, congratulations on a strong finish to the regular season. You guys took down rival Loyola 11-6 on senior night.
Can you just talk about the playoff picture and what the bracket looks like this year?
So, a lot of that depends on how games tomorrow go. If we're to guess what's going to happen, our bracket play, it looks like we'll play Oaks. And if we get past them, highly likely Newport, who plays against Huntington. And they beat Huntington last time they played 19-9 or 16-9, I can't remember, handily.
Yeah.
So another big test for us. Both times we played Newport, we've come up short by 1 goal. And you go back in the game, some of the goals we gave up were super frustrating. We got away from our style of play for little bits, and they go on a 3-goal run, a 4-goal run the first time and a 3-goal run the second time.
Yeah, we're definitely going to, get into the collision course that you guys are headed for Newport and JSerra potentially. But before that, looking at this team, it feels like they're really peaking at the right time. They finished the regular season really strongly, beating Mater Dei and then beating Loyola, of course, and setting themselves up for a nice postseason run. What's the attitude of the team right now?
I think it's actually really optimistic. The last third of the season, our focus has been in the details of things. And having these games where we lose by 1 or 2, it's really easy to go back and look at what small little change to our body position or the way we attack we could have done better to make it a 1-goal game in our favor instead. Yep. So that's been the big thing. Like, if we commit to doing it the right way, we're going to be right there with whatever team.
Definitely.
Yeah, also just adding on to that, I feel like in the past few years, this team is always, once they got into CIF, they get so far, and then in the semifinal game, they've just kind of hit a wall sometimes. What do you think is just going to be able to get them past that and through that push?
I look back to my high school career, and I had the same thing. Four times to the semis. My freshman year not playing at all, but 4 times to the semis and 4 losses in the semis. And what really helped me get over the hump, especially in my college career where I won 3 semis and only lost 1. And it is that exact thing, the attention to the small detail. So it's more of a mental thing than X's and O's or anything like that. No matter what pressure is on, not changing the way that we operate. That's been the number one thing that we've been focused on for the last 3 weeks. And I think if we commit to doing this the right way, that's going to be the big difference. Not a crazy play, not someone being the hero of a game, just sticking with what we know has worked. And honestly, I think we're playing the best water polo we have right now, to the point where even other coaches are coming up to me and saying that. So I think we're in a really good place, so long as we commit to doing what has got us to this place.
Yeah. Looking up to your game against Oaks Christian, both teams are first in league. I think basically all these teams are first in league. You're playing all nationally ranked teams right now. And you played them earlier this year, winning 10-5. You didn't let them score in the third or fourth quarter. What's your game plan going into playing them?
Look, it's going to be a little bit different. They were missing their center, who's a good player, young, but still a good player. Our game plan is really focusing on us, and that's what the story has to be for the remainder of this year. If we focus on ourselves doing the little things the right way, everything else falls into place. So that's the main focus. Strategically, there's going to be some things that we do, especially on their after goal, because we know that they're moving and looking to try and get a little isolations for the 4-5 side, so for the right side of the pool. And we're adjusting our after goal defense slightly for that, so that we can let those movements go through and then go straight back into our press, which we know they struggled with last time we played them and also over the summer when we scrimmaged against them. So we have some film where we're going to get really good feedback. We've already watched some of their more recent film, and we're going to watch again the film from the first time we played today, just as a little refresher. But we're not changing too much for them. We're trying to focus on ourselves, and in doing so, I think the game kind of takes care of itself.
You know, Coach, you're talking about the familiarity with Oaks Christian, and, you know, that leads me into my next question, where you guys are really familiar with Newport Harbor, with Jay Sarah, and obviously the games you've played against them so far haven't gone as how you've wanted them to go, but they've been very close, and there's been improvement in every game, which is very visible to anyone that's watching. So, you know, going into these games, those will be the teams that are standing in front of a CIF Open Division championship for your team. How do you get over that hump and take them down?
Yeah, I mean, totally. And it kind of goes hand in hand with what I've been talking about. It's no secret. I mean, I've known that this is kind of the situation that we're going to be in. And I wouldn't change it. I want to beat all the best teams to prove that we're the best at the end of the day. But the thing that's going to get us over the hump is paying attention to the smallest details. If you go back to our last time we played against Jay Sarah, it was a 2-goal loss, right? They scored, I think, 2 goals in the second half. And in breaking down that film with the guys, 2 very preventable goals. So there's 8-8, right? But if we talk about the third quarter, where we held them scoreless until the last 9 seconds, they get an ejection, call a timeout, and instead of stepping up to Ryder Dodd, we sat back. And that's not part of our defense, just sitting in the vertical. So there's a small detail. If we move towards him, maybe he has to think twice about shooting. Maybe he plays it to someone else, right? But we didn't make them play out their hand. The ball was outletted from the goalie to their best player, and he got to shoot uninterrupted in the last 9 seconds of a quarter. That's a small detail where it's on us. It's not them hitting a fantastic shot. I mean, it is, but we can prevent that.
Yeah.
And then their second goal, a counterattack goal from an offensive. And if we arrive in better body position, are we taking this offensive? My guess is probably not. So that's where the focus has been. But even with those 2 blunders, we have a penalty shot with 41 seconds left and a timeout. We score the penalty shot, we get a stop, we have time. We have time to run a timeout play. So these little details, and I just used those 2 in the second half when it really was a game of little details.
Yeah.
The angle that we take down in our block, where Baxter gets to worry about the side he blocks, but we don't take the angle down, so Baxter has to step in, we get beat the other way. These small little things is what all of our focus has been on for since we got back from that North-South tournament. And I believe if we can do these little things the right way, play by play, it starts to combine and add on. It's like a snowball effect where we can really build into being the team that we all know we can be. We've had excellent practices where we've done that, actually more so since North-South than maybe even the rest of the season combined, which is problematic, but it's also reassuring.
Yeah.
And if we can commit to doing this, much easier said than done, I think that's what's going to get us over the hump.
Yeah, you know, we talked about your familiarity with these 2 teams, but I want to sort of flip the question and talk about their familiarity with you guys. You know, they definitely are able to make adjustments every time they see you guys and see your offensive or defensive scheme. So how do you see that as a weakness, and how are you trying to change things up to catch them off guard?
Yeah, look, I don't think we've shown everything at all. We have a lot of plays, especially timeout plays, that we frankly haven't used. We have some timeout plays that we've used that we're going to set up in a very similar way. And if they try and defend it the same way that they defended it the last time they play, it really plays into our hand.
Yep.
And we always have a second option on every timeout play that we've done. So I don't know that they'll completely be able to block everything we do. I mean, that to me, like a big play, is so minor in the grand scheme of things, where you can play such simple water polo, and if you do it the right way, it doesn't matter if it's simple. Mm-hmm. It's not like the kind of sport where a flea flicker on fourth and 16 at the end of a game might be the difference. It's not like that at all, or a fake punt. Mm-hmm. You know, the trick plays in water polo are spectacular, but there's a reason why you can't think of any from the top of your head, because it's just not that common.
Yeah.
So of course they know us, they know our style. We typically play more for our centers, but there's a reason why that has been what's been dominant in water polo for the past, 30 years. Once you get to higher levels where people can block counterattacks. So it just comes down to if we do it the right way, it's not a weakness at all. It can be the knife.
Yeah, looking in between games and during the playoffs, it seems you guys have days off in between those, and also you've had time to prepare for these games. What have you been doing, and what are you looking to do in those days in between each game?
I think right now a lot of our hardest work has been put in. Yesterday was realistically one of our last really hard swim days where they'll be pushed to some sort of a breaking point. And now we get to kind of enjoy the fact that we've done the work to be where we are. And we'll be working more plays and tactical things, but also just refreshers of what we know has gotten us to this point. And look, 18-6, it's not the best record of all time, but if you look at every single one of those losses, it's 1 or 2 goals. And there's been something that's kept us in those games and something that has detracted from our ability to win those games. So just focusing on the things that have let us go on a 3-goal run against Newport, have let us go up 4-2 against J. Sarah, have held J. Sarah to 2 goals in a half. Sorry. So that's what the focus is going to be on, those things instead of doing something new. We don't really need to reinvent the wheel at this point. We know if we play our water polo, which we believe is the right style, that we're going to be right there.
Yeah, we've been talking so much about the path to a championship, and I don't know. I think looking at this game against Oaks Christian, it's a very winnable game, and you guys have beaten them before. So I guess what I'm trying to ask is, how do you make sure that you guys are locked in on this game and not looking ahead? And I know that, you can obviously say, oh, well, we're locked in for every game and we're going to focus. But, I think that there's a real chance, at least, then obviously I'm not in the locker room, but, you've beaten this team twice and you have 2 teams that have beaten you guys that you really want to beat. And I don't know, I feel like there's a chance that you could look ahead to that now.
Yeah, I mean, our whole thing is we're not focused on a future because right now the only thing guaranteed is the practice in front of us, the lap in front of us, right? I mean, you see the rain today, lightning could happen. We don't get to train, So we're focused on one little movement, one little moment right in front of us, and we're not looking past anything. So obviously the diplomatic answer is to say we're focused completely on Oaks.
Yeah.
But at this point, we're focused completely on whatever it is right in front of us.
Awesome.
So what I've asked them is do your normal school day. Go about things the normal way. We have routines in place for a reason. Second you come into the pool deck, your focus shifts to whatever we're working on right then and there. And if we're working on film, you're not worried about what the swim set is. If we're on the swim set, you're not worried about what sort of playing we're going to do or what sort of shooting. We're just taking things moment by moment. And when you do that, you don't let yourself get too far ahead.
That's why we love talking to you, Coach. You could have just said, oh, we're locked in for every game, but, you explained to us what exactly you guys are doing, and also that it isn't just this game, but it's every day and everything you do. So, yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah. Also, just speaking on mindset, I feel like in, all sports, just going to CIF and big games, I feel like stats go out the window because everybody's pushing, everyone's playing their hardest.
Yeah.
So how do you just ensure that everyone has that top mindset? And because I always just feel like mindset is 90% of the game in the end of it. So how do you just ensure that everybody's at that, again, locked in, top-notch spot?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of different things. If you think about championship games and playoff games, a lot of time it's not the best display of sport, right? How many times do you see a championship game that's just kind of funky? I'm trying to think of one example off the top of my head. I don't know, maybe the Falcons going up big on the Patriots and then just relaxing and then the Patriots coming back. I mean, I haven't watched very many other sports besides water polo, so that's a pretty bad example from as far back as when I was in college. So the big thing is any team can play super hard. Any team can, right? You don't even have to be that skilled to just play super hard. And if you win an energy battle, a lot of the time, you win the game. What we're trying to focus on is something a little bit different. It's playing that hard while also recognizing what the situation is in front of us and, not playing into another team's pace. And I think if we play at our pace, we're the best team in the country. But there's so many instances where we have got caught up in other teams' pace. So we're trying to make sure that no matter what the situation is, we're dictating the situation. So up by 3, can we score 3 goals in one play? No, so we're just focused on one little thing at a time. And the one little things, they start stacking up on top of each other, and one thing turns into 3 possessions, and 3 possessions turns into a quarter, and 4 quarters turns into a game, unless there's overtime.
Yeah. Normally I like to ask this question before senior night, but we didn't get to talk to you right before senior night, so I'm going to ask it now. We've talked about so many different players on this team from all grade levels throughout the couple episodes that we've done with you.
Yeah.
It's a really deep team, from all different grade levels, but with it being senior night, are there any seniors that maybe we haven't gotten to talk about as much that you want to sort of give a spotlight to?
Yeah, Zach Rawson. I mean, that guy will do anything for the team. That's the most important thing. That's what's so special about our team, is that guys who don't get to play as much embrace whatever it is. And if his job is to beat up Jeff that day, that's what he's doing. And what more can you ask for in a group than that? But I love every single one of those seniors. It's going to be tough watching them go. They all made Mission League first or second team.
Wow.
It's going to be announced Daniel, MVP, Baxter, most valuable goalkeeper. So, really special group. Going to miss him for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I always like to ask this question with all coaches, but what is one word you would use to describe this season?
Oh, gosh. One word? I mean, peaks and valleys is for sure one. I mean, I think trust is really big. And I don't know if that's a word that defines a team, trust, but it's been one of the things that was the hardest for us to earn. And now we have it. And having trust is everything. Knowing that if you do the right thing, you have someone ready to do the right thing right behind you. So instead of taking a shot that maybe is a little selfish and you draw someone, you get to play it one more and you know the person's in the spot he's supposed to be. And I think we finally earned that trust.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Good luck to you guys during the playoffs. I'm Danny Lynch with Jake Lancer. We'll see you next time on Coach's Corner. Enjoy the game.